At Martha Jefferson House in Charlottesville, history meets heartfelt care. Martha Jefferson House has been providing assisted living and long-term care since 1957 that always feels comfortable, familiar, safe, and close to home. Nestled in a beautifully restored home, our residents enjoy comfort, dignity, and personalized attention from a compassionate team. With unmatched care ratios and a long-tenured staff who treat residents like family, Martha Jefferson House is not just a place to live, it's a place to belong.
Every life has a story. Not the polished version we tell at reunions, not the highlights we post online. The real story. The moments that shaped us. The risks we took. The people we loved, the losses we endured. The mistakes we survived, and the lessons we carry forward. Here, I sit down with remarkable people from all walks of life. Not because they're famous, but because they've lived. Through war and peace, triumph and heartbreak, family and faith, these are conversations about what it means to be human. These are real stories, without the filters of hindsight. I'm Marc Hunt, and this is A Life Unedited. Good morning. My name is Marc Hunt, and this is A Life Unedited. In this podcast, I sit down with remarkable people to hear about their lives and perspectives without the filters of hindsight. Today, I am so honored to have Matt. And Matt, how do I pronounce your last name?
Dunovant.
Dunovant.
Yes.
Matt is an operations officer in the U.S. Marine Corps, Joint Operations Officer for Defense Threat Reduction Agency, co-founder and chief operating officer of Operative Insights, which applies military-honored problem-solving skills, operation planning, and risk mitigation in informative warfare systems. He has planned and integrated electronic warfare, cyberspace operations, and this only scratches the surface of Matt's professional career. So Matt, that just scratches the surface of an incredible career that you've created. And Matt, over the last year, I've interviewed artists, authors, physicians, educators, public servants, and people whose lives couldn't look more different from one another. I've come to believe that most people spend their lives asking one of two questions. Some ask, what do I want to become? Others ask, what is being asked of me? As I read your story last night, I found myself wondering which of these questions has been quietly guiding yours.
Oh, well, Mark, thanks for the question. And thank you for the opportunity to sit in this seat. I know I shared it with the mayor at one point, and obviously several others. It's quite a moment to be invited to chat with you and have a conversation. But it's also it's quite a moment just for me in this season. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. I mean,
I'm glad for it. And, but ask you a good question here. What question do I approach the day with? For me, it's how do I serve well? How do I serve my wife well? We've been married 10 years. How do I serve her well in what she needs today? I have 3 children. How do I serve them well as their father for a son and 2 daughters? What does that look like today? It's different than it was yesterday, I would promise.
Yeah.
And then there's a nation that I love that has provided opportunities for me that are unique, that a kid from a minority kid from a lower socioeconomic part of a urban town out in Newark, New Jersey, just outside of Newark, New Jersey, in West Orange. How do I do this? Well, I looked at the nation that's provided the opportunity, and I'm just glad to serve it well. And I've been doing that for about 20 years now. Or 20 years in from initial onset to getting to this moment. So,
well, that kind of leads me into my next question. You grew up in a neighborhood that could have taught you bitterness. Instead, it seems to have taught you gratitude. Yeah. How does that happen?
I think it happens with, it starts with my mother. My mother raised my brother and I in incredible circumstances, and there has always been someone that's lended a hand, whether it was my wrestling coach, Stefan Zakella, or a deacon at church. My mom has always sought out leadership for me folks that I would just, hey, what do you need today? And that level of having just all needs met, even though circumstances were glim or dismal from the outside perspective, there was always a way, there was always strength, enough strength to help someone else. And so um, my mother just continued to show me that, um, that no matter where we were or what the moment was, there was an opportunity to lend a hand from our own position.
So was service kind of implemented by your mother from a very young age?
I think it started at church,
Yeah.
and that's where like at a young age, understanding where our values were, even in small, cramped apartment life.
Yeah.
What are our values that give us enough reason to dress as best we can, hold our heads up high, but not too high that you miss someone that needs a help
Right.
while walking by. Um, and then a church community that just really surrounded us. And at St. Paul Baptist Church in Montclair, New Jersey, there's a group of people there that just said, no, like my brother and I, they're going to look out and make sure that we had all we needed, whether it was keeping the lights on or or getting to SAT prep. Things like that are, I mean, they were very tangible.
Did,
And they, yeah,
did your mom put a big emphasis on education from a young age?
yes.
Yeah.
So my grandfather, um, he became a vice principal at a high school, vocational school in Newark, New Jersey,
Yeah.
at a moment where that's not common for a lot of for minority men to
Yeah.
lead in that way. Um, and so seeing what the realm of possible was, what education affords the capitalizing on opportunity.
Yeah.
And from that early, I come from a line of teachers. My aunts are teachers. My aunt Cheryl is retired at 40 years from teaching
Oh, wow.
in the New Jersey as a New Jersey educator.
Wow.
And my wife's a teacher. I mean, there are so many spaces where understanding the quality and the importance of that quality in early education always showed me that there was something to strive for, um, and it wasn't outside of reach.
Yeah.
So
That's incredible. Well, your mother didn't just show you, your mother just didn't just get you into a better school. She changed what you believed was possible. Looking back, how much of parenting is shaping opportunity and how much is shaping imagination?
oh man, what a great question, Mark. Shaping imagination. There's something unique my mom did, um, because although the apartment was cramped, um, in the moments, the remaining daylight that we had when time she got us picked us up from school to the sun setting, she would enable us to hop on our bikes and speed as fast as we could to the playground. She would bring dinner in Tupperware or whatever containers. We'd eat dinner at a park. We were in a beautiful in Nishwain Park in Montclair, New Jersey. A beautiful little park, a swimming pool. I mean, we she I don't know I don't know if this is okay to share, but the pool facilitator, he would let us swim the last 10 minutes for free. So little brother and I would jump in our underwear, swim for 10 minutes, and play, and then have dinner in the park.
Oh, that's incredible.
And so I think what your question is, creating a space for imagination is just breaking down the wall, not breaking down the walls, but showing that there's more than what the walls around you have to offer. And my mom continuously did that. She put us in schools outside of our neighborhood, to continuously show us there's more than what you see. And there, if you're able to do well enough, you can come back and improve what you see.
Yeah.
There's a theory out there called broken window theory, and that's, well, if the windows around you and all the boarded up buildings have all these broken windows in, you're probably going to think of your circumstances, and even unfortunately probably some implied self-worth. Well, it has to do with that environment. And so if you're able to maybe break outside of that environment or fix it, um, you can also grab onto some, I can do more. There's more to do, and I can do it.
Yeah.
So my mom just continued to give that space. I try to give that to my children too. My wife is homeschooling them and showing them, oh, we're going to learn about, you know, about this animal type and what it eats and how it grows. But then we'll go to the zoo, and then we'll see it, or we'll try to make it out to somewhere in the nation, across the nation, at a national park to go see these animals live,
Wow.
and that's how we're doing it now.
She was both feet in. Your mom was both feet in. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, you grew up across the street from a cemetery.
I did.
That's a pretty dramatic way to start your life. Did that make you an unusually thoughtful kid, do you think, or just one who learned to run really fast?
I grew up on Watchung Avenue, and it's at the corner and intersection of West Orange, East Orange, and Orange. And it's a rough place. But at the same time as it's very rough, there's also all the things that can make you tough, and make you strong. And the reality check, I mean, it's, what's the phrase? Begin with the end in mind, right? Isn't that one of the 7 habits? So if we're able to begin with the end in mind, even at early childhood, and I every day open my front door and see the headstones of the people that are gone, well, I can do my best to finish this life on an empty tank, and be sure that I use every bit of the gifts God's given me, to do this well, and to serve well, and to lead well where applicable. And so the cemetery was a helpful reminder, but it is also a grounding moment, that there's one true statistic out there that's not up for debate, and that statistic, Mark, is that 1 out of 1 person will die. 1 out of 1.
Yeah.
It's a guaranteed finish, or guaranteed result here. And so with that, I approach this Wednesday hearty, happily, and with a lot of joy in my heart to do as best I can, to live it well.
Well, that's incredible. We went and grabbed coffee right before we started this, and I noticed that every person that you meet, whether it's the person you're buying coffee from or serving you coffee, you are very present with every single person that you talk to and interact with. And you take the time, and it's genuine, and that's special. That's very unique and incredible.
Thanks, Mark. Ian's a great barista next door, and Caitlin served well, actually, and
remember their names, which is also next level.
We're each made and created with a great image on our person and on our hearts, and I know that I'm loved well, and so if I can love others well, that's how I'd like to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in high school, you were on the wrestling team. And every life has one person who changes its trajectory. For you, that seems to have been your wrestling coach.
Yeah.
What did he see in you before you saw it in yourself?
What an insight. You out of all the things you've seen about who I am today at 33, your question is well crafted, Mark. Well done. Stefan Zakella is a pillar for me. There are a few people that will show up to pick you up for early morning wrestling practice at 5 a.m, living 40 minutes away. So
wow.
for him to be up at 4 a.m. to come and pick me up to help me get to practice is a statement. Yeah. It's a statement of love that I didn't have from many other not from a present father, and then definitely there are shoes that as a young man I needed filled by the men around me. Stefan Zakella is not a perfect person, and none of the men in my life, the deacons, my uncle, other coaches, my mentors like Gerald Raines, like none of these folks are, even the father that adopted me this year, none of these people are perfect. But what Stefan Zakella showed me very early on is that there is a task at hand, there is work to be done, there's preparation that can't be skipped. Wrestling is a very interesting sport. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. Well, not true. That it's at that point in my life, it was the hardest thing I'd ever done. there's a few things to bring a teenager to tears, and
All
and
right.
definitely amongst his friends, and that's a wrestling season will do that to you.
Talk about humbling.
Oh
for
my
sure.
goodness! I mean, this
Did you ever
was.
come out of practice like, what am I doing? Like,
I go into practice and come out of practice like, what am I doing? And that theme has not gone away,
yeah.
because what it showed me at between the ages of 14 and 18 is that there's a hard work to be done. There's only a gritty, tough mental spirit to do it with. And anything absent of that, it'd make putting your pants on in the morning undoable.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the love of someone who is willing to show that level of demand on me at an early age in order to perform well. And I wasn't the best wrestler on the team. That's the other part about this is he came to pick me up, and I wasn't the star athlete. I was just willing to go out and give you my very best.
Yeah.
I had a lot of star athletes around me, Pascal Lewis and Emiliano Betancourt and Dallas Sellers. I mean, those guys were fantastic. I was just glad to be in their presence and be on the roster with them.
Well, those guys that were on your team were fantastic, but there was one one of your teammates that really influenced you a lot. It was Eric.
Yeah. Yeah. I should have mentioned him first.
He was an upperclassman.
Yep.
And like all underclassmen, we definitely are guided by our upperclassmen often. And what is it about Eric? And what was it about his ambition that really inspired you?
Again, Mark, you crafted these questions really well. Eric stands out. Eric Washkovitz, the man he is, and his family, how unique they are. There are a couple people at purposeful moments in my life that have definitely changed the trajectory, and Eric's one of them. Eric was the hardest worker in the wrestling room. I mean, truly the hardest worker and the smartest guy in the room. His girlfriend at the time she was number 1 in the class. She went to Princeton.
Oh wow.
Eric was number 3 in the class, and not only, but Eric would perform and work his tail off. He put his American flag bandana on, and he would crush the room. People would make fun of him. They said, Eric, because he really wanted to go to the Naval Academy. They said, Eric, you're not going to make it. You're going to the Coast Guard Academy. No shame on the Coast Guard Academy. They're like, hey, you're not going to make it to the Naval Academy. You're going to the Coast Guard Academy. Just give up. So what was fun about Eric was he just didn't bother him. Unfazed. He would just finish match, win or lose. He'd be in the corner reading his Bible, and just, what high school kid does that in front of a whole group in front of an auditorium full of people?
No, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, there's might be a few, but
Yeah.
like, hey, this guy's is like, something about him is, I want to know more. And so I didn't know what the Naval Academy was, but I knew I needed to find out, because this guy is pursuing something that's great, and I want to try.
Yeah.
I want to not just try, I want to know more. Eric ends up at the Naval Academy, and he graduates with 2 engineering degrees, and then goes to Cambridge immediately after, finishes nuclear power school, becomes a submarine officer, teaches at the Naval Academy, does great in the fleet, teaches physics at the Naval Academy later, and now he's going to get a postdoctoral thesis or a doctoral thesis or doctoral in theology to become a priest.
Wow.
And he's going to serve incredibly well.
Wow.
And so what all of that meant to me at 14 was, man, I've got a lot of work to do. And so at 14 years old, I said, that's what I want to do, and pedal to the metal. Every honors, every AP class I could take, every activity, if I could do a varsity athletics every season, I will, and I did. If I can play the French horn well and end up in the honor band and get that honor society thing, yeah, I'll do it. If I can serve my community better, how do I do it? Where can I lead? Where can I serve? Because I'm going, and so much so that that was the only school I applied to.
Wow.
I knew I wanted to serve the nation. I didn't want to go to any school. I wanted to go to school with a deliberate purpose to serve a country that affords opportunity to a guy like me, a young kid like me, that's no other. It'd be hard to find elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so that's Eric changed my life. His mom, I call her Mama Wash. My children call her Nona T, but she was she was the wrestling team mom. She was just a gem, and she's still incredible family friend.
You still keep in touch with Eric?
All the time. I mean,
Nice.
as often as I can. Eric is currently up at Notre Dame. I've been all over the country. Whenever I get
You
the
both
call,
have been busy.
I love calling Eric to find out, hey, am I thinking about the next step well? And he always has something incredible to share.
Yeah.
And so friends like that, I mean, they're invaluable.
Yeah.
So
Well, fast forward a little bit. You had an interview with the congressman.
I
Was
did.
this in high school?
Yeah. So, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No. And I was gonna kind of just mention that you had mentioned that you're following up the mayor. Well, you knew the mayor as well, and he.
Well, Mark, what I found out was the mayor knew me, and that was even more. I knew who he was. His daughter, Jackie, was a classmate of mine, and John McKeon is another. I mean, I've got a lot of pillars, so I'm standing on a strong foundation, and John McKeon helped set it. He saw something in me that said, I want to be a part of this. And so in order to get to the Naval Academy or any service academy, including the Coast Guard Academy, you have to get a congressman's nomination. A senator, a congressman, a representative, or a vice president or a president has to nominate you. And out of those nominations, you still need to compete, even with a nomination not guaranteed. So, but first step is talk to your congressman. And so I did. But fortunately for me, I didn't have to do it by myself, and John McCain actually really helped. He showed up. He took me out to Men's Warehouse to pick up a suit for me.
You said it was John McCain?
McKeon.
Okay.
Oh, McCain that's another. He's a Naval Academy graduate
Right,
too,
yeah.
with a legacy that
Yeah.
I'm blessed to be a part of,
Yeah.
and I stand on his shoulders as a Naval Academy graduate, but also as a service member today.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, John McKeon. Different and more Irish.
Yeah.
So John McKeon, he was a mayor of the town, and then part of the state assembly, and he said, let me get you a suit to wear. So you have something to put on, and then also I'll pick you up. I didn't have a car growing up,
Yeah.
so we didn't have a car growing up, and there was no. It would be difficult to take the bus. Taxis are incredibly expensive, and to get to this congressman's nomination on time, in a timely fashion.
How nervous were you meeting the congressman?
Actually, when you're walking in with your mayor, it's hard to be really nervous.
Yeah.
But it still walked in, only with the slightest amount of nerves, because I was actually I was showing up with a passion for the work that was in front of me, and I knew I needed to do it.
Yeah.
And I needed this help. And so I was among several other students interviewing for the nomination, and his staffers, they really grilled us pretty. This was a moment for a high school kid. They were grilling us pretty well. No, but I was really blessed to walk out of there ready to join the service academy, and when my guidance counselor, Tiffany Goodson, didn't like this too much when I didn't apply to many other schools except the Naval Academy, but I knew where I wanted to be. In fact, my mother wasn't happy either. But I only applied to that one school until like the last day when letters could be sent in, and so I sent in a few. But once I got my letter back in January saying I was accepted to serve as a midshipman, I turned on Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me, and just nearly cried at the dining room table. And it was wonderful.
Nice.
So
that's a good way to celebrate for sure.
I think so.
So you got nominated for the Naval Academy. Obviously, you were very successful there. Then 9/11 happens when you were 17 years old. How did that shape your life?
So no, 9/11 happened actually, Mark, when I was in third grade.
Oh,
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
But actually, it was third grade when I'm going to school in just across the Hudson. Yeah, I'm 8 years old, and kids, we saw on television a moment where evil prevailed.
Yeah.
And created destruction and heartache and pain for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to see my friends whose parents were working, they worked in the city in Times
Yeah,
Square.
you're so close.
Some friends, some classmates' parents didn't come home that day.
Yeah.
So at a very early moment, at 8 years old, to be hit with such a reality check on,
Yeah.
no, it's not just cancer or illness, or you know, any of these common or what are becoming more common
Right.
issues or challenges to life and flourishing humanity. There's also evil people, and someone's got someone's got to go answer to the wolf at the door.
Mhm.
And so I didn't know that I would have the opportunity to, but playing little league football with
Right.
so I played little league football, police athletic league. Um, some some incredible members of the town gave money to the league, so I like kids from less financially strong households could play football, and or even baseball or any other sports they offered. But I got to play football, and I loved just before the game playing the national anthem, and I'm there with my helmet on my side, and I got my hand over my heart, and I get to you know you know listen to my national anthem and then go play some football. And so there's a patriotic fervor, a love for my nation that
Yeah.
was like all throughout my growing up. So when the time came to, yeah, I want to serve, I want to do this, and I want to do it as best I can.
So you knew all through your high school career probably that you wanted to go to the
I
Naval
did,
Academy. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's thanks to Eric
Yeah.
and a great staff of incredible teachers, Frank Iannucci um, and Mr. Figueredo, some impressive people that just said, "Yeah, we're gonna coach you up. We can get you ready." So
Well, you could have gone into any of the services that you wanted to, and you chose the Marines. Out of all of them, you voluntarily chose Marine infantry. I'm assuming there were easier hobbies or opportunities, available to you. While in the military, you rose up in the ranks, becoming a platoon leader. What has leadership taught you about human nature?
um, hmm. Human nature is very messy. Um, it is not. None of us are the same. We each require something different for today's tasks. And while today I might be in a leadership space, next tomorrow it might be you.
Yeah.
And how do I practice good followership? That's hard. That's not a simple one.
Yeah.
People don't ask that question too often. But um, early on, I went to the Naval Academy thinking I was going to fly for the Navy,
Yeah.
as most do. If you've seen Top Gun or anything else, but for
Right.
me, I just really wanted to fly the P-8 or now what was the P-3. But then I met then Captain Agar Adams, and he changed everything because to me, the Marine Corps was all propaganda.
Right.
I thought it was just movies and guys with great jawlines and a lot of muscle.
Right.
And then I met Captain Agar Adams, and he was all of that, as well as a father, as well as a husband, as well as a believer, and he was just a guy that I was glad to have in the room to ask him questions. And so eventually I changed my mind or changed focus, and I put away a flight contract and took on a ground contract, and then got into the
The
infantry.
rest was history.
But as far as leading humans, I had to recognize, as I changed over that period of time, the men that were in front of me: Lance Corporal Wagon Blast, Lance Corporal Reeder, even my now Gunnery Sergeant retired Michael Morris. These people are all very different, and I needed to find the way to give my best self to them. Because if I approach the task thinking I'm the leader,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I have a show,
I'm the one in charge.
yeah, I'm the one in charge.
Yeah.
There's a unique thing about Marines, and that is reality check right away that when it's time to eat, the youngest eat first.
Wow.
Leaders eat last.
Wow.
And it's not just a nice saying. It sounds great, right?
Yeah.
But the practice of it is fundamental across every space, and the Marine Corps is very unique for that. The 18 and 19-year-olds fill up a large portion of the population that we go to fight with.
Mhm.
How do I understand a 19-year-old and lead them well? I mean,
Yeah.
what is every couple decades that looks different, and
Yeah.
if as you grow as a leader throughout some of the greatest leaders in the Marine Corps have 40-year careers. How do you continue to relate and understand?
Right.
Well, warfare doesn't change, hardship doesn't change, um, but the people that are facing it and the brunt of it first, they do.
Yeah.
And so we take it quite seriously to understand that space, so those young men can do incredible things when it comes to battle.
So really, to be a successful leader, you are really dedicating yourself to service
Yeah,
of your platoon and those that you're leading.
yeah, both in platoon command as a company commander. Um, I started off. I should probably need to bring it all full circle to being a good follower. I had an incredible battalion commander. Multiple moments across being a platoon commander to being a company commander, Lieutenant or now Colonel Eric Metter, um, Sergeant Major Emilio Hernandez, like those men, um, and Colonel Driscoll, Sergeant Major Visage.
Yeah.
Those are, I mean, even though I'm a leader in that space, I have leaders that I'm looking up to for both the tactical mission for the day and for the operational context, but also for some of the intangibles.
Wow.
Believe it or not, there are soft skills even in fighting war. So, yeah.
Wow. One thing that you wrote really stood out to me. And you wrote that my life changed direction when I began to take action on faith. And I've been thinking about that since last night. What's the difference between believing something and living as though it's true?
Huh. There's a passage in James that says, faith without works is dead. So, I could believe that this chair is here all day. This chair here. Yeah, I can believe this chair is right here. But unless I actually sit down, what requires more faith? Sitting down and believing it's here, or just standing up and believing,
Right.
And that's a very simple comparison. But then there are actually really hard moments and hard decisions that require wisdom and discernment. I pray for those things daily, but there are steps that are tangible that are uncomfortable. I've never sought comfort in my whole life. Instead, I've just sought to do the tasks in front of me that day very as well as I could. And how do I bridge for planning for a year or strategizing for a year? How do I approach that, giving my best effort? And that's required sometimes not a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
And in that giving of myself every day, knowing, and even in uncertainty, even in fear, that fear and anxiety and all of those things, I need to push them away and push them away hard because there is a moment of faithfulness that I need to take on in order to see this thing through.
So I'm curious, in all of the things you've seen in warfare, things that the U.S. public knows about and doesn't know about, and the things that you can talk about, and most of the things that you cannot talk about because of national security and your security clearance, probably. And the horrible things that you've seen, do you feel like your faith, it became more complicated or deeper?
Much deeper, more. There's a much deeper. There's an audacity for the inhumanness and the cruelty that we can show each other. and you don't need warfare to do it.
Yeah.
I just got back from Rwanda, Kigali, Rwanda, this past March. Being a student at Darden School of Business has created incredible opportunities, and that was one of them. But there are stories from the genocide in Rwanda that I got to walk the spaces and see there's a hall at one of the genocide memorials. And in this hall, there are pictures of children. And they're the last picture that they had of their child doing something really fun, kicking a ball or riding a bike. And underneath that, there's a little plaque that says the child's name, their favorite activity, play soccer. Like most of them, soccer, bike riding.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food? A lot of them was chips. What is your favorite drink? Milk.
Yeah.
Apple juice. A few sodas in there. And then method of how they died. Hacked to death in their mother's arms. You don't need warfare to create opportunities for us to be evil to each other. But you do need men to say, I'm going to stand by and let it happen. And it's become a deeper part of my faith to acknowledge that God has put these hands here and some strength on my legs and some wits between my ears and just some talent that's God given, and I'm going to use it for good. In the same way, people have used their best skills and their best talents for evil.
Yeah.
But I choose. And I think that's the best part about this moment is there's choice.
Yeah.
And I choose to do for good and serve well. That's me.
That's incredible.
Thanks, Mark.
Well, you've accomplished a great deal in your life, professionally. You come from nothing, essentially, financially, and yet the thing you're most proud of is being a husband and a father. I have a feeling there's a story behind that.
Absolutely.
Who has your wife helped you become that 20-year-old Matt never could have become on his own?
20-year-old Matt. One, I thought I was, we got to talk about this. I thought that before I married my wife, I thought I was a pretty selfless guy. I say that without any hubris. I thought I was relatively selfless, and I thought I had patience. And then I got married, and Mark, then I realized I'm really not that patient, and I'm really not that selfless. Because there's no greater service than a husband to his wife.
Yeah.
And so I thought about, you asked that question, how have I changed? It's not just humility and selflessness. There's also passion, love, joy. My best joys are with my wife.
Yeah.
I thought I was outgoing. This is actually one I really like. I thought I was outgoing. I thought I was I used to be the fun guy in the room. And then what I realized was my wife Annie, she's more fun than me. I mean, I actually love being outdoors. I like going out and seeing waterfalls, a great mountain, Sierra vistas, and seeing great sights. But Annie, Annie, it's not good enough to just go see the waterfall. We've got to climb it. I mean, we got to climb this waterfall, and then that's not enough. I wish that was it, but then there's a jumping off the waterfall moment that she's and swimming in the water. And I've actually done this with her at Bassin Bleu in Haiti, outside of Jacmel, a beach city, and that was only 6 months into being married, or 6 months into knowing her.
Wow.
And it's only gotten better. I mean, she and I have been married 10 years this past June.
Congrats.
And there is a joy and a fun and also a deepness and a vulnerability as a man that
Yeah.
that only she knows, only she has, and she's just loved me so well because of how well she's loved me. It also gets me to know more fully how well I am really loved,
Yeah.
and thus I can really serve and really love those around me
Gives
quite.
you that true sense of confidence. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
She's the best partner. She's my best friend. She is my champion, and I could tell 1,000 stories about her, but we would need a couple weeks.
Well, fatherhood, is it changes the game for all of us, right? So,
Absolutely.
I think of life as pre my daughter and life after, and of course, life after is much more full, and I'm just a much better human being. How has becoming a father changed the math of your life?
Uh, the math for my life. So my full name is Leonard Matthew Dunovant the Fourth. It's a mouthful, and it's also like airs kind of pretentious. So I just kept it to Matt my
Yeah.
whole life.
Yeah.
But being the fourth has always meant something to me
Yeah.
because my father was a part of my growing up, and so with that gap, it's like, whose am I? What's my legacy? Who am I a part of? Where is the person here that looks like me and walks like me and can teach me the only things that my father could teach me? My son is the fifth. I gave him the same challenge of me, but now his name is Leo, so he, rather than 4 letters, he gets 3. What that's meant for me is that there is a daily requirement to say, my role as a husband, my role as a father, no one could do those things but me. No one can do those things for me.
Yeah.
Mark, so anyone can a bad day on a battlefield, someone's going to fill the space. A bad day here at school, someone's going to fill my seat in the classroom. A bad day in this new space of entrepreneurship, someone's going to go and sell something else. No one can serve at my dining room table at dinner time in the role that I have. So what it meant for me in the mathematics is, it's 17:30. How, or 17:30, 5:30 p.m. I need to be home for dinner. Like, how many minutes are till then? And I got to cut off my mission planning for this moment because I need to make sure I got this amount of time to drive. I can't be late for dinner.
Yeah.
That's the math. It's a daily math problem of there's something pressing. I've got 2 hours before my family turns over to get ready for bed. How can I be as present as possible in 120 minutes, maybe 150 if I'm lucky? But that's the math. There is a daily account balance that's not guaranteed of 150 minutes.
Yeah.
There are 2 daughters, there's a son, and they need me. And they need me to be incredibly present for that amount of time. How do I protect that, put a moat around that for my family?
Well said. It's the greatest and most stressful gift of all time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wild party.
So as I was reading through your story last night and learning more about you, and some of the questions you answered in my discovery questions, I really came to a hard stop, and it was really paradoxical because Matt, there's one answer you gave that has stayed with me. You grew up with very little. You've endured hardship. You've led Marines. You've built an extraordinary career. And when I asked about the hardest chapter of your life, you said, "I'm living it right now." Please help me understand this.
I am truly living today the hardest moment I've ever lived. Today. There's been a few in the last 10 months, there's probably been more sleepless nights than I've ever had before. There's also been um, uh, more challenge because the the needs have gotten more significant.
Mm.
It's interesting because um, I think about who I was at 20. You asked me about 20s.
Mm.
At 20, I would. Today I'm 33. I look back at. I mean, man, 20-year-old Matt didn't know anything about and it's only true because the moment has increased in responsibility. The moment has increased in skills acquired. Skills must be delivered. You know,
Mhm.
I've it's not all muscular strength, it's mental strength, it's physical skills that have developed and grown. And so there's a duty to be the best citizen I could be today. And with that duty, I mean, there's also a task. There are tasks that must be approached, that must be accomplished. And boy, do I wish there was another hour. And sometimes I've really pressed that actually. Um, the best example of that is I'm my best my friend of 20 years asked me to help him on a project to serve folks in the operating room and build some tools, which cascaded into a great problem and solution space that I'm in now. Um, and so my aperture to contribute has grown.
Yeah.
And so with that growth of the aperture, now there's a lot more doing.
No,
But I've really been blessed with it because now also in the terms of all the doing that's required, I've been given and blessed with some incredible folks that are standing beside me.
Yeah.
I'm just like I didn't just like I didn't enter the congressman's office by myself. I'm not here by myself either.
Yeah.
My mother's praying for me. There are plenty of men that have surrounded me. There are folks that have adopted me. Um, I'm not my own. And so a lot's been demanded, and I show up ready to deliver, even if it costs some sleep, if it costs resources, and at most, we asked about my wife, it's cost her,
Yeah.
but she has risen to bring it to really enable, and that's been great.
So you mentioned that you were adopted at the age of 33.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's really fun, that's thanks for asking about that because that's actually probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me, other than being married and having my kids. Like that's great. But to enable a confidence that in a space for where I'm going, um, I in 2016, so nearly 10 years ago, uh, I reached out for mentorship.
Mhm.
And I've been mentored over 10 years through not just military problems and studying warfare and building great teams and learning how to follow and also leading a home and how to buy the right minivan and and how to buy how many homes at which home where all these there are financial questions. There's daily things that, man, it would be nice to have a dad to help me figure this out.
Yeah.
I mean, serving your wife is complete. There's a completeness in that. That's sometimes it helps to ask
Another man.
ask another man.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
But I didn't I buried my father 13 years ago. Yeah, he chose a path that was just, and knowing him up until that moment it wasn't much. So, but I've been really blessed because there's been a great great roster of folks to say, hey, can you show me how to do this? And I call frequently before jumping in and putting too much on the table. I call some folks and say, I don't know. But now I have one person to call. He's my dad. Just the past year, he asked me, he's like, hey, so I think, not I think actually, he didn't say I think. I said, you're my son. I'm adopting you. And here we are. I'm now one of 6 kids, oldest of 6.
Wow.
And I've got a mom and dad that my mother's the mother who's she's always been there. She
Yeah.
calls me before she calls me as I'm driving to work. She'll call me when I get on off a plane, no matter what time it is. And even if I'm sprinting through the airport, my mother calls me. Um, Always. But now I have an adopted mom and adopted dad who
Wow.
just said, I want to be here for you. I'm showing up for you. And there's been nothing like it. It brought me to tears on the side of I-95 South and 395 South actually. And in that, knowing that you no matter, as kids, we think, oh, my parents are the worst. Yeah, but you have someone that cares about you.
Right.
And today in the United States, there's about 400,000 children in foster care, children that are orphaned that don't know the love of a parent that way. And even in adulthood, that still has impacts. So,
Oh, absolutely.
so today,
Yeah.
I'm in a new group of folks that have someone that says, "Hey, you're mine," which is pretty significant.
Yeah.
It really hits home and enables a grounding, and it adds to the
Yeah.
foundation. Now there's really a board to leap off of.
Right.
And if crash, there's someone there somewhere to crash.
Somebody catch you.
There's
Yeah.
someone's down there
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's and boy, does that enable a leap.
Yeah. And push comes to shove, you got six new siblings. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine your great-grandchildren are sitting together 100 years from now. They don't know your rank. They never heard of your company. They've never seen your resume. All they know are the stories that survived. What do you hope they're still saying about the kind of man you were?
I've actually thought about that for a minute. 100 years from now,
What legacy do you hope to leave?
he loved God and he loved his family, and he did that well.
It's the most important.
That's it.
And my final question. Earlier, I said people ask two questions. What do I want to become, and what is being asked of me? If someone listening today is still trying to discover that question for themselves, where would you tell them to begin?
What do I want to become? What is being asked of me? Do you want, in my answer, do you want, Major Matt Dunovant, United States Marine Corps, founder? Do you want student, MBA student, or do you want Matt Dunovant?
I want Matthew Dunovant
Sure.
the fourth.
Okay. Okay.
After everything you've been through, which is extraordinary.
My answer to guidance for those questions as Matt Dunovant is seek the Lord in all your ways and he'll direct your path.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes along that route that's so demanding. There's nothing easy about it. In fact, that challenge has brought me to the depths of reality, and it's not simple. It's probably the hardest calling and the hardest thing to answer to myself is to answer that every moment. And if I'm doing that well, then all these other things are going well. If I'm not doing that well, Mark, there's somebody that's going to hurt. And I'm probably going to crush someone in a way that they'll never forgive. Or it'll be really hard to.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing that and answering that well, then there's a wife who'll be happy, or not happy, but joyful. There are children that'll be raised well. there are friends that will feel loved. There are baristas that will be known, you know, like this morning. There are folks that are passerbys who won't feel passed by. And that'll help answer that question every day.
Well, Matt, it's been one of the greatest honors of my life to meet you. You know, this was a random phone call or random text last night saying, I know this is a long shot, but
No, it's there's no coincidences, and no, Mark, I'm blessed to be here. There are some folks who are who I was going to be in town for today. Anya Eisenfratz is the program manager for the iLab, which is a startup incubator at a Batten Institute, under Darden School of Business and here at UVA. And I'm missing a few deliverables for her, so I need to show up and be present today. And this was just how timely. So thank you for the request, and thank you to, I think, Louise, Ben back there, who Louis and Ben are running the tech. So I thanks to all your team here that's made this morning possible to have this conversation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. My name is Mark. This is A Life Unedited, a podcast where I get to sit down with remarkable people like Matt Dunovant. Thank you very much.